Restituto.
For 7 years. Handoff, Damian Williams trying to get to the edge. Breaks a tackle, 35, 30. Damian Williams, 20. Stays in bounds. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Kansas City!
And the snap goes high over the head of Big Ben, all the way back to the 2, to the 1, and the Browns have it in the end zone, and they dive on the ball and recover it for a touchdown! Carl Joseph's got it in the end zone, a touchdown!
Derek looks left, Derek gonna throw for the end zone, caught! It is caught! Touchdown!
Welcome to the Rest Stop. It's April 15th, 2021. It's a Thursday. Brad Restituto, your host. Spencer Ostrowski with me as always every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 to 10 o'clock Pacific time. If you missed any of the show live, make sure you check out the podcast version, audio version on any of the podcast platforms. Landry Football Conference Calls, where you can search it, the Rest Stop underneath there. And then watch us live on twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football every Tuesday and Thursday. Give a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Brad the Believer. We post the podcasts, audio and visual version there, and some other stuff on the YouTube channel as well. Good show tonight, as we had some amazing basketball last night. We've got to talk about the Luka Doncic buzzer beater. This guy is incredible. He became pretty much a household name last playoff season with his clutch shots in the playoffs against the Clippers. He's done it time and time again. This guy, if he stays healthy, is on pace to be an all-timer. I think he'll definitely win a title. Me and Spencer the Wiz will discuss Luka Doncic at such a young age, doing some amazing things. And if him and a healthy Kristaps Porzingis, along with Tim Hardaway Jr., I think this team can do a little bit of damage in the Western Conference playoffs. So we'll discuss that. Some more NBA action tonight as Steph Curry continues to go nuts. 30 points, and I believe in his last 10-plus games. The guy is absolutely insane. The Golden State Warriors are a completely different team without Steph in the lineup. What do they look like completely healthy next year? Or even an 80% Klay Thompson with an addition of a free agent or two, a pretty good draft pick, a healthy James Wiseman, Draymond Green. What does this team look like healthy, possibly going forward? We will discuss. NFL draft right around the corner. Justin Fields' second pro day. I'm so tired of hearing the smokescreen of Mac Jones going number 3. Spencer the Wiz, I've talked about it week after week. Please pull one of my clips. I've said it the entire time. This is bull crap. Mac Jones, who has not been talked about in months. If you go back 30 days prior to today, even further back, not one person on planet Earth picked Mac Jones to go in the top 5. You can't find me one. You find me one, I'll donate $500 to charity right away. Any charity of your choice. You find me somebody that before 2 months ago said Mac Jones was going in the top 5. Show me something legitimate. I'll donate $500 to charity. I'll do whatever you want. Find it. You won't find it. It's not legit. It's never been talked about. It's never happened. Okay, so now you're going to tell me all of a sudden that two of the smartest football guys in the entire league, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, two guys I have complete football respect for, and I don't say that about a lot of people in coaching or front office positions. These guys I respect on the top of the list. I cannot believe in my mind anything logically possible, Spencer the Wiz, that these guys are going to trade multiple first-round picks to move to the 3rd slot to draft Mac Jones, who does not do anything extremely better than anybody else you have on the roster right now. Nick Mullins, Jimmy Garoppolo. He may be better, Spence. He may lead a team to a playoffs. He may lead a team to a title game. You're not trading multiple firsts to move up to 3rd to draft Mac Jones. Quit feeding me this crap. Who's buying it? A lot of people are, Spence, because this number in Vegas has gone from Mac Jones being the favorite for 3rd overall to now switching to Justin Fields. I have not bought it not 1 second the whole time. You're my witness. You've heard me the entire time. It's crap. It's not happening, but they still want to feed it down our throats. Whatever. I mean, if it happens, I can't trash two guys I have ultimate football respect for, not only for their decision-making, but for their football IQ. Do I believe Kyle Shanahan can plug any quarterback in that offense and be successful with a healthy roster around him? I do think that. I do think Mac Jones could be successful, but I don't think that two smart guys would so urgently, Spence, we're talking almost a month ago, trade into that 3rd slot for Mac Jones. Like, what possibly bullcrap could they have been buying from another team, feeling like they had to jump that high to get Mac Jones? Just think logically with your brain for a second how that sounds. Think. Everyone out there, think how that sounds in your little pea brains. That we're going to move 2 months before the draft, all the way to number 3, because Mac Jones will not be there if we don't go get him. You know what you could have done, Spence? Someone they're in love with in San Francisco? The Kirk Cousins, right? Somebody already established and proven that in the right system can be effective. You don't think the Vikings would have took a sniff at 3 first-round picks and possibly more from the 49ers, include Jimmy Garoppolo? You're telling me if you're willing to move all those draft picks, Spence, for Mac Jones, you can't give up 1 or 2 more draft picks or another player for Kirk Cousins? You're telling me that's just too much? That's where we draw the line? We draw the line at 3 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders. Not 3 second-rounders, but 2. That's where we draw the line. I'm not buying this. Not at all.
Well, I guess the idea is Mac Jones is like the perfect system player. Like on his scouting report for me, it's a guy who understood the Alabama offense to a T. Every single play was in this guy's mind. He knew exactly where his receivers were going to be. But, we've talked about it. He struggles with anticipation. Trevor Lawrence knows how to read body language on defenses, which is more advanced than you could ever ask for from a rookie prospect. So he's definitely not on the same level as him. His athleticism isn't all that great. Well, I think he did run a faster 40 than Patrick Mahomes, if that's worth anything. But he gets stuck on his first reads a little too much. But look, the idea is that Kyle Shanahan thinks that he can instill upon this young man the perfect system and just kind of have him run that for many years to come. And that's who he wants. And because if you're trading for Kirk Cousins, you're getting maybe 3 or 2 good years before the decline starts. With Mac Jones, if you're trading for him, you get more value out of him because he's going to be there for potentially 10 plus years. That's the argument that you can make for the 49ers taking and giving up so much for Mac Jones and not Kirk Cousins.
There's the voice of reason, Spencer Ostrowski, in the house tonight, bringing a strong Spence. Before we hit the incredible NBA action of the last 2 nights, we have got a date here in Las Vegas where we broadcast our show where we live in Las Vegas, Nevada. The governor of Las Vegas, the governor of the state of Nevada, Steve Sisolak, says June 1st is the target date. 100% in the state of Nevada. We plan to open up. We've already got hit with tons of tourists, tons of people already flooding back into the city, enjoying the casinos, enjoying the city itself. The weather's pretty nice right now. But June 1st is the target date. We're almost a full go. Spence, movie theaters, I don't even know if they're going to open back up. That's something that I miss personally. When I was working before here, we had some clients with my personal driving job that did nightclub appearances, nightclub music shows. We don't know when those are coming back. I know they're back in small capacities with people doing some live music. I knew someone that worked in one of the Cirque du Soleil shows. Those are down for the count right now. A lot of those entertainment shows down for the count. We don't know when we'll be back. Musical residencies, we don't know the answer to that question. So there's still some things hanging in the balance. Spence, for you, is there anything that you're looking forward to or excited about the most once we get back to 100% capacity here in Nevada?
It's a great question. It depends on what's going to survive. I also love movie theaters. I'm a movie enthusiast. I like film. I have my YouTube channel. I do a lot of content about filmography, and I'm interested in one day, doing a little bit of filming of my own. Every movie on HBO Max is coming out on the app and in theaters at the same time. I can't imagine that's very good for movie theaters. I know they make most of their money through popcorn sales, but if less people are seeing movies, it all kind of works together, right? So I guess I could probably put that at the top of my list. You can kind of do everything now, just in smaller quantities. So it's not like there's I didn't go to shows all the time. I'm very much I'm more of a homebody guy, more of I just kind of work every night. So my schedule hasn't changed drastically. I go out to bars every once in a while with friends, but we stand at the bar, there's no one near us, and I kind of go about my day. I'm just not a Vegas touristy kind of guy. I keep my head down and do my work.
That's Spencer Ostrowski. Follow him on Twitter at Spencer the Wiz. The Rest Stop, you can check out the YouTube channel. Brad the Believer is where you find it. Like and subscribe. We post the full podcast after the show on the YouTube channel in case you miss any of us live. Spence, let's get into the NBA. Do you want to start with tonight's action or last night, Spence? Your call.
We can start with last night. There's a lot of exciting stuff that happened.
Yeah, let's start with last night. I'll run down the scores of last night's game, yesterday's games, and then we'll talk about some of the highlights in yesterday's matchup because there was quite a bit of excitement in last night's Wednesday's NBA card. It was an early game, a makeup game for the Timberwolves, I believe. Again, the Bucks, they took care of Minnesota without Giannis last night. They beat the T-Wolves 130-105. Chris Middleton had 27 points last night, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. The Bucks are playing good ball here coming up down playoff time. The Cavs, they beat the Hornets on the road 103-90. Taurean Prince, 25 points for Cleveland in the win last night. And here, a lot of talk about this game, Spence. Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, primetime game on ESPN. And we've heard a lot about players sitting, load management. The Sixers win 123-117. Kyrie had 37 points, 9 assists. He was the only one of the big three that played. But we already know that Kevin Durant was unlikely to play back-to-backs this year. So he played the game in Minnesota, did not play last night. James Harden's already dealing with a hamstring. He did not play last night. So what about the lineup surprised you? Kyrie played, but like you said, he sat the final 2 minutes. Doesn't make sense to me. I believe the Nets covered the number. A really weird game, but if you're in Vegas betting it, you're probably pretty frustrated with that 123-117 score by the Sixers.
Yeah, so I did. They lost me my ticket yesterday, and I'm hoping to I haven't gone on a back-to-back ticket losing streak this entire month, and I think that's looking pretty decent right now. But I did have the 76ers, and like you kind of painted it out. It was the perfect situation for me. I have the 76ers minus 8.5. They're up by 13 with about 3 minutes left. No Kyrie playing at all. It's troublesome if you're a 76ers fan. That's kind of the takeaway I took from last night. Everyone blows out the Brooklyn Nets when 2 of their stars are missing. Everybody. I think they've had one big upset. It was against the Phoenix Suns. It was a bit of a fluky game. But other than that, I mean, they get crushed. And the 76ers should have made a statement in that game. Like, hey, if you don't come at us fully healthy or you back off just a little bit, we'll take care of business, because they weren't missing anybody, and they kind of barely won that game. And they're getting out-rebounded, out-hustled, outplayed in all sorts of facets. I'm out on the 76ers after last night. I know that sounds extreme because they won the game, but when you see something like that, you think of the long-term implications, and I think that's what that was.
Spence, I tend to agree with you. I don't think I can trust the Philadelphia 76ers. In big spots or spots where they should really kind of make a statement, they seem to not do that. To me, this is an example of that. I don't trust them. I haven't trusted them for a couple of years since they lost that key series against Toronto, where Kawhi Leonard's corner 3 hit the rim about 7 times and bounced in. I just don't see the juice from the Sixers to make a long-term run. They got some pieces, but I don't trust them, and we'll have to wait and see. Embiid's playing great. Definitely an MVP candidate, but I do not trust them in a 7-game series to beat even a Milwaukee or Brooklyn. So, a lot of people had a lot to say about the Nets lineup in prime time. But if you really think about it logically, the only surprising thing was Kyrie kind of sitting late in the game. Like you said, Spence, an 8-point spread. They win by 6. A little disappointing for the Sixers, especially at home where they've only lost 5 games this year. It's going to be interesting. Spence, did Ben Simmons play last night?
He did. They had a fully healthy 76ers squad in that game.
Yeah, and they put up enough points, 123. It's a pretty good score. Their lowest scoring quarter was the third and fourth quarter where they both scored 29. I don't know, though, Spence. There's just something missing, like you mentioned, and we'll have to wait and see if they can hit another gear come playoff time. We talked about this game, Spence, the night before when we talked about some of the handicapping, kind of a meaningless game. The Raptors do get the win over the San Antonio Spurs, 117-112. Double-double for Pascal Siakam, 20 points, 11 rebounds. This game, Spence, the Pistons at home, everybody pretty much sat for the Clippers. I believe Paul George sat, no Kawhi Leonard. The starting lineup was Zubats, Reggie Jackson, Trevor Mann, Luke Kennard, Patrick Patterson. I mean, Marcus Morris didn't play. Paul George didn't play. Kawhi Leonard didn't play, but the Clippers still get the win, 198.
Yeah, I think they're on a 7-game winning streak. It came down to a game winner, but the guy ended up missing it. I've said this all season long. The Clippers have the best top-down to bottom roster in the NBA period. I mean, they have starting caliber guys coming off of their bench, and it's It's going to come down to whether or not they can finally accept their roles. So many guys have struggled through their transition, like a Reggie Jackson, like a Marcus Morris. Now it seems like they understand a little bit more. And it also kind of helps Ty Lue, like as the season goes on and you don't want to play Kawhi Leonard and Paul George so much, to be able to lean on these guys and probably win a lot of basketball games that way. A little bit like the Lakers have had, but they don't nearly have as much talent on their roster, as the Clippers do. Now, is LeBron James and Anthony Davis better than Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? Yes. But if we're talking about the regular season in particular, Clippers are much better set up to go on these winning streaks.
Spencer, I remember us talking about this next game. New York Knicks travel to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. And I personally talked about the Knicks playing from behind, especially in the second half. Well, in the second half, they outscored the Pelicans by 9 points. They win the game 116-106. The Knicks, 29-27 on the year. Julius Randle, 32 points, 8 rebounds. He's just having a fantastic year. So is Zion Williamson statistically, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. But an underwhelming record for the Pelicans, 25-30. I don't get it. I don't think you can explain it. I have no idea how to explain it, Spence. Maybe you can a little bit, but there's no reason that this team should be 5 games under 500. They're way too talented. Zion's too unstoppable offensively. A career year for Lonzo Ball shooting the 3. I don't think he played last night, but Brandon Ingram, an all-star Steven Adams, a really good player. There's no reason this team should not be 5 or 6 games above 500. How do you explain it, Spence?
Yeah, so all of their most talented players, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Zion, have no idea how to impact winning. Zion has a very long way to go. I just did a list. I don't know if we'll talk about it today, but Zion was number 2 for me accordingly. Yeah, if we have a chance. He was number 2, and I think that's the right place for him, just because we've never seen someone with his physical frame, maybe ever. I think he's only like 6'7", but he has like the power of Shaquille O'Neal or, of that kind of guy, and he has the speed of a LeBron James. So those two things together are going to get you 37, 39 points, like almost on a regular basis now, it seems. The only problem is he doesn't know how to, he's not a great passer. When he came into the league, everyone's like comparing him to LeBron James. Absolutely not. He doesn't know how to read defenses, and a lot of his passes are not crisp. Lots of turnovers. He had a negative assist to turnover ratio in his rookie year, and now it's like 3-2. It's not really all that fantastic. He's also not a great rebounder. He rarely has double doubles. I don't know. I'd have to go down the list, but he's like 6'4", 7, very inconsistent. They need a lot more from him. And also he's just not a great shooter as well. So it's going to be a while before he knows how to play basketball. And Brandon Ingram, another one of those guys who's just too quiet. Like they need more from him outside of his elite ability to score. He's one of the best, like Jason Tatum. He's like kind of on that level in terms of his bag and his skill set in order to do that, but not good enough defensively. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So until they learn to play for each other, nothing's going to happen. I also think their coach, Van Gundy, is garbage. And I don't know what even like their ceiling possibly can be under him, like moving forward. They're a young team, but so is Memphis, and Memphis is the 8th seed in the West. There's no excuse. The Pelicans have a significantly more talented team.
Very
not an excuse anymore.
Very disappointing through 55 games, Stan Van Gundy. I watched him when he was an assistant with the Miami Heat, doing a fantastic job. He took over the head coaching position in Orlando, led them to the finals, did a great job with Dwight Howard, JJ Redick, Hito Turkoglu. I don't know what's happening this year. Look, I know Van Gundy's been extremely outspoken before he took this job in politics and all the social justice stuff. I don't want to give him too much of a hard time for that, but I mean, it seems like he should have done a lot of talking about coaching, because to coach this Pelicans team that's very talented, 5 games under 500 makes 0 sense to me. Tom Thibodeau, on the other hand, a completely underwhelming, not as one of the, I'd say the top 10 least talented rosters in the league. Spence, would you argue that?
No, there's not. I don't think there's a lot of arguing there. I agree.
And they're 2 games over 500, and they are tough out every single night. Thibodeau deserves a lot of credit. He's done it in most places he's gone. Go ahead, Spence.
Yeah, no, it's just what they all. I like. On ESPN's top 25 under 25, RJ wasn't even in their list. Period, which is just blasphemous. This is a small forward, a great vision on the court, significantly better than Zion. If we're going to compare him even in that class. John Morant probably has the best of all of them, but you also have the Julius Randle, who's like seemingly unguardable at certain nights. The only problem that you worry about with the Knicks, like on a nightly basis, especially as you get into the playoffs, is Tom Thibodeau's coaching ideology, which is to play everybody 50,000 minutes a night. Julius Randle has like lost them games simply because he doesn't have the energy to. But I don't know. It's just like when you look in the East, like is the only reason they really can't upset someone in the first round. I would say even the 76ers, they're so gritty defensively. They regularly help keep teams under 100 points, which is like non-existent in the NBA anymore. And they're a team that plays for each other. Everybody has a very well-defined role. They never feel intimidated when they go up against someone, especially like the Brooklyn Nets. And yeah, they're one of the more entertaining teams in the league to watch.
Spence, top 15 pick, Obi Toppin. He's averaging 10 minutes a game. What the hell's going on here? This guy is supposed to come in and make an impact. He's not getting any playing time. Is this guy not good, or is this just not how it works with Thibodeau?
It's embarrassing.
I mean, it seems embarrassing. Talk to me about this.
Tyrese Halliburton was right there. Like, I can't justify it. And also, Mikal Bridges was available when they drafted Kevin Knox. I do the scouting, and I've been fairly correct about those two from now on. So I don't really understand what the discrepancy is. I think there's a very clearly defined skill tree. And the fact that maybe they're banking on Julius Randle just not progressing, even though he's like 24, 25 years old, 26. He's super young. So they're basically drafting for a backup position when they don't have a point guard, period.
Drafted a backup at their best position, Spence. Drafted a backup at their best position. Another blunder. What the hell's going on? Julius Randle's a monster. You dropped the guy in the same position.
Where would they be with Tyrese? Where would they be with him right now? They'd be in a completely different league. We're talking about a guy who could lead them for a long time. I had him in my mock draft. I thought it was an easy choice, but clearly they didn't think the same way I did.
Spence, that's a great question. Where would they be with Tyrese Halliburton? You probably can move RJ Barrett to the 2.
Or 3.
And you've got a very good lineup and a deep lineup because you got Quigley as well, Derrick Rose, who's playing significant minutes, Alex Burks,
Alfred Payton stinks.
I know you have Halliburton, Barrett, Bullock, Randall, Taj Gibson. You could put in,
Mitchell Robinson. Nerlens Noel has been playing very well for them as well.
Yeah, don't get it, Spence. Anyway, let's move on to the rest of the games last night. In one of the big trades before the trade deadline between these two teams, the Magic and the Bulls. Last night, the Magic get the best of Chicago, 115-106. Wendell Carter.
Called that one.
Yeah, you did call that one, Spence. 19 points, 12 rebounds. Vujicic, 29 points, 11 rebounds for the Bulls. The Pacers coming off a back-to-back. They take care of the Rockets, 132-124. Malcolm Brogdon, 23 points, 14 rebounds. The Warriors, Spence, last night, 147-109. They should have handled the Thunder. They did convincingly. Steph Curry, 42 points, 8 assists. Let's talk about Steph Curry for a minute, Spence. He's been on an absolute tear as of late, almost single-handedly carrying this Warrior squad. They get another impressive win tonight as well over Cleveland. It's not against great teams, but the Warriors haven't been very consistent this year, so it's tough to say. Spence, I want to go through Steph Curry's games since March 29th, just his point total. March 29th against the Bulls, 32 points. April 1st against the Heat, 36. The 4th, April 4th against Atlanta, 37. 41 against Milwaukee, 32 against Washington, 38 against Houston, 53 against Denver, 42 last night, and 33 tonight against Chicago. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight games over 30 points for Steph Curry. This guy is on a – we've known this. This is not breaking news, how amazing Steph Curry is. But he's turning it into another gear come playoff time, and that is so fun to watch because if they have a chance to get into the playoffs and they just get some kind of contribution out of the others, if they get something out of Andrew Wiggins, something out of Kelly Oubre, who's been dog crap all year, Draymond Green hits a few shots. They got a couple guys, Jordan Poole. I love Eric Pascal. I don't know what his injury status is, but that guy can play. Other than that, it's a Steph Curry show, Spence. And I'm excited to see what happens the rest of this year, but I really want to see when my guy Clay gets back somewhat healthy, what they can do with the band back together, because I think they can make some noise.
I actually have some highlights from these last few games if you want to show them real quick.
Let's do it.
I'm glad it was
a back-to-back.
The sense of urgency was there the entire night.
Curry three.
Why not?
Exclamation mark.
Yes. 38.
Tip won't go, and there is Steph with the rebound. He is 5 short of the Warriors' all-time record in scoring, and this pull-up
too short. He's too short. You know, when you watch the Nuggets here in this second half, they've really, Monte Morris, Capazzo, they're doing everything they can.
Goodness.
But you watch it. I'm not watching.
You watch it.
You watch it. Look at that.
Because you're on him, he makes a great move. It's like, okay, tip your hat. But he really frustrates you when he doesn't have the ball and you lose it.
Curry three.
Come on.
All the dribbling, all the creativity.
Keep playing hard. You're trying to finish strong, but Steph, just the handle. He just dribbled through the defense, nonchalant, walk in the park.
The last spin, he dribbled through his legs to then Justin Robinson getting his first playing time and gets into the books. Curry, another one. He's got 11.
And he wanted a foul. They never give him that foul.
Wow.
Great job there, Spence. Great job putting that little bit together with Steph Curry the last few games. Man, this guy's 6'3", $190 at most, Spence, and he's pretty much unstoppable when he wants to be. This is insane. We've never seen a guy this size be this incredible. I mean, maybe Isaiah Thomas. You can maybe Allen Iverson. There's less than 5 you can name in the last 50 years. This guy is awesome. He's already a 3-time champion, regular season MVP, finals MVP. I don't know that the Warriors will be able to do tons of damage this year because it's just Steph, but I'm convinced when Klay comes back and they add another piece, Wiseman with another year experience, I really am excited to see what the Warriors can do with Klay, with Draymond, with Wiseman, with Curry, and then some of the depth with Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, some guys that have got some significant minutes over the last couple of years.
If you want to feel extra disgusted, just know that the Warriors turned down it was a Kelly Oubre for Spencer Dinwiddie trade this season, so that was a huge mistake by them. I don't think they ever should have kept the second pick overall as well. Come on, build yourself a team. James Wiseman's okay. I don't think he's bad, but come on, you're wasting Steph Curry's prime years. You're not going to get this kind of performance forever, and rarely just in anyone's NBA career are you going to see someone shoot 11 for 16 from downtown. Wow. So what is this half rebuild system that they're going through? It seems like there's so many options in front of them and they opt to just not do them. They have a lot of issues, and also you're depending on them being healthy next season. If healthy, everybody loves that term, but you actually have to do it. Steph Curry's had ankle problems forever. We know Klay Thompson, obviously. We don't even know if he'll come back the same ever again. Draymond as well has had his own injury problems. I agree with you. If everybody's back and everyone's playing well, it's good, but it takes a lot for that to actually, happen. And you've seen this with Brooklyn, where they can't get all 3 guys on the court at the same time more than 3 times this year.
Spence, James Wiseman needs to take a huge leap next year. If he's going to be worthy of the second pick, like you said, not trading it away, kind of half rebuild mode. But what Steph Curry's doing right now, Spence, if you add an 80% Klay Thompson to that and a healthy James Wiseman, I don't want to face that Warriors team if we're playing hypotheticals here, the way Steph's playing right now. I mean, the dude is 6'3", and he's incredible. And we talked about how Brady elevates the play of the people around him. Steph does the same thing when he plays this way. And the Warriors are a completely different team without him. They can't do anything. With him, I know it's not very many impressive wins here in the last month, but when you're cruising past people in the NBA that way, and him 9 straight games over 30 points, he's feeling it right now, Spence.
Yeah, you can't say talk bad about a player who's taking care of business. He's still doing it. He's still doing things that no other player in the league could do. I hope they do something for him soon, or I hope he leaves, because I want to see him back in the playoffs every year. I want to see him fighting for titles, not just making the 8th seed. If they do this year, the only reason they're in the conversation is because of this expanded playoffs. Come on, man. Get this guy some help, because he's got to be in the top 3, top 4 most entertaining players in the world, behind LeBron, and maybe that's it. Or Luka, I guess you could probably put in that list.
Yeah. Well, we'll follow it as it goes, Spence. They will have an opportunity to get in the playoffs this year. I believe that. And we'll see if Steph has another gear besides what he's showing right now. If he does, it's going to be tough. I know that it doesn't matter who this is. in this situation, Spence, it does not matter who the supporting cast is when Curry is playing like he is right now, because the other guys will elevate, and he's going to be a headache for somebody. So I'm going to be excited to see how this matches up. Now, we didn't see Golden State in the playoffs last year. We didn't see a healthy Curry down the stretch. He's healthy now. He's playing great at the right time. So it'll be fun to watch down the stretch. And this is why we talked about it on Tuesday, this expanded playoff situation with the play-in tournament. For the fans, you got to love it. I mean, Curry's averaging 30-plus points, 50. You talked about 11 to 16 from three. This guy's going to be a problem come playoff time. And like you said, one of the most entertaining players in the entire world. I want to see it come playoff time. Also last night, Spence, the Nuggets, 123-106. They get the win over the Miami Heat. First game without Jamal Murray. Jokic has a triple-double. Michael Porter Jr. also had a double-double, 25 points, 10 rebounds. Nuggets get the win. Wizards go on the road to beat the Kings, 123-111. Talk about fun to watch. The Wizards may have an opportunity for one of these play-in games. And with Russell Westbrook, Brad Beal, they're a fun team to watch as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the Wizards do down the stretch and if they have an opportunity to sneak in to the playoffs. Spence, the highlight of the night last night, your Memphis Grizzlies, they blow a late lead. Luka Doncic at the buzzer hits an off-balance three. He's done it again, Spence. He had 29 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, but more importantly, the game winner. They edged the Grizzlies 114-113. Do we have a highlight from last night's game winner from Luka?
We do, and it hurts me, but I'll show it.
Got to get it in. Here's Luka. Gets it away. It's gone! A Doncic dagger! He whips it three as he was stumped.
Disgusting.
Spence, this guy's absolutely sensational. This is not the first, second, third, or fourth time. Earlier in the year, he hit like a 31-foot step back game winner. This guy is unconscious with the game on the line. We've seen him now do it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but we're talking time and time again. This guy is clutch. And man, we talked about it last year during the playoffs. We've talked about it this year. Dallas hasn't blown anybody away so far this season, but come playoff time, I'm convinced Luka could take it to another level. I would love to see Porzingis healthy because I think he can score the basketball. Doncic is going to make Hardaway better. I don't like the move of letting Seth Curry go. I thought he was a great addition to be able to shoot the basketball for Dallas, but who's going to step up and knock down three-point shots when Doncic drives the lane and kicks to an open three-point shooter? I don't know that I have the answer to that yet, but Luka's incredible, Spence. We've seen it time and time again. This guy, if he continues and stays healthy, for me, he's going to be an all-time great, and I have zero doubt that he will win an NBA title before it's all said and done.
It depends. I think if he stays in Dallas, I think he'll probably get one, kind of the Dirk route. I think it's so easy to forget how good Dirk was. Legitimately one of the best NBA players to ever touch the court. Unguardable in that Heat series. They were like massive, dogs in that, and they didn't have anybody to stop him. So it's kind of sad that he only got one championship out of that in his career. And if you look at the way that this current Dallas roster is constructed, it's pretty disgusting. I like Jalen Brunson. It's why I wanted the Memphis Grizzlies to draft a couple of years ago. JJ Redick, I guess, is a pretty decent signing, but Maxi Kleber he stinks. Powell is also just not very good. Tim Hardaway is not going to be the guy to lead you to a finals game. I mean, they have to shed these contracts over time, and it doesn't seem like they're going to. It seems like they kind of like the core. I think it's atrocious, and if Luka, if he plays next to just like one other all-star, Porzingis too also has to go. He's all right, but unless he accepts like a $15 million per year, not worth having on your team for all the health concerns and all just like the playing ability too, just in general. It's not very good down the stretch of games. And then there's just Luka who's carrying them. I mean, the impact this guy has. You could put like Trae Young, I would say, on the Mavericks. You could put Ja Morant. They are nowhere near the playoffs. I mean, their roster is just awful. If that's probably the best way I describe it. It's not a playoff roster, but he makes them. That's how good he is. And he's going to continue to do that throughout his entire career. He has a big passion for the game. He loves to play it. He sees the court just differently, like, you see LeBron James does. I agree with you. I think he's going to be an all-time great and just one of those it's just like must-watch television all the time. And it's just insane that Mark Cuban, it fell into his lap. It almost seems suspicious.
Spence, if it's not Porzingis, give me 3 potential guys that could complement Luka as a free agent possibly, or some kind of trade. Give me 3 guys possibly that could complement Luka and immediately make them even more dangerous as his number 2.
Well, I think if you shed Porzingis, the correct, because it'll be a cheaper option, is Lauri Markkanen. I think he's a better shooter from outside, so I think he would be able to kind of revitalize his career there, play very well. He needs kind of these stretch type of players. It's kind of hard to say who else. I mean, maybe like a Malcolm Brogdon would be really nice, or one of these shooting-based point guards, Steph Curry, but everybody would love to have Steph Curry on their team, right? As I'm going down the list of guys under 25 years old, Jason Tatum would probably be the perfect matchup for him. It's just hard to say because you can make this list, but the availability is also different. And I think in order for him to truly play next to a next great would have to be in free agency. And we just don't know how loyal he is to the Dallas Mavericks just quite yet. So we'll have to wait and see.
Spence, I'm sure you watched the game last night. Is JJ Redick getting run yet for Dallas? Is he getting some minutes, or is he hurt?
No, he looked pretty good last night too. A lot of good threes. He's always a liability defensively. Grayson Allen scored 30 points. He missed the free throws to ice the game. That shot should have never even been in contention. But yeah, I mean, that's always been the problem throughout his entire career, but he is shooting very well for them. Like I said, this was the first year he shot below 40% from the 3-point line since 2012. And he'll probably go back up to 40% at some point this season, just because he's getting way better passes, on Dallas than he would be on the Pelicans.
Spence, let's go to tonight's NBA action. And I want to start off with the second game of the TNT doubleheader, a game that you were watching closely. The Boston Celtics, they beat the Lakers 121-113. They win by 8. Jaylen Brown, 40 points, 9 rebounds. So, Spence, did you get the win there? What was the line you got it at?
I got it at 6.5. I got the Warriors minus 6.5 and Boston minus 6.5. So the Lakers had only scored 7 points like early in the fourth quarter. And they were up by 20. That was going to be an easy win, but of course, all basketball games at the end are just so close. But a couple of free throws, you got to make your free throws. Celtics were able to do that, and I got the victory. The Lakers. The reason I had bet this game, besides the fact there were only 4 to choose from, was actually kind of difficult. Was the Lakers are winning games that are solid, like the middling teams, and which is actually really nice for them and a little unexpected in the absence of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But when they face a legitimate playoff team, they're getting blown out, and it wasn't exactly a blowout tonight. I guess you could technically say it was, for most of the game. And it's what happened again. And Lakers are not too hard to actually understand from a betting perspective.
Spence, do we have any highlights from tonight's action, or just scores tonight?
No, I got some highlights.
Before you run those down, Spence, let me go over the scores. They're all final now. The Suns beat the Kings 122-114. It was close until the Suns outscored the Kings 27-20 in the fourth quarter. Nice statistical game from DeAndre Ayton, 26 points, 11 rebounds from the former top overall pick from the Phoenix Suns. We talked about Celtics-Lakers. Celtics win 121-113. The Warriors do it again. They do it against the Cavs tonight, 119-101. Steph goes for 33 points, 5 assists tonight. And the Milwaukee Bucks, the first part of the TNT doubleheader tonight. The Bucks win over the Atlanta Hawks, 120-109. Giannis did play tonight. I think he had 15 points. Bogan Bogdanovic for Atlanta, 28 points, 7 assists as he shot the majority of the shots tonight for Atlanta. But the Bucks get the win. So, Spence, if you got some highlights from tonight, let's fire them up.
What better place to start than Steph Curry, who he's on another level right now.
He's even catching the cameramen off guard.
They're not ours. Curry, another triple. You asked me how many he was going to hit. What'd I tell you?
He said 4.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. So we can move on here. PJ Tucker, I just want to highlight some of his defense because, they're looking forward to that matchup with Brooklyn. I think PJ Tucker's going to be playing a lot of times on James Harden, and this is the kind of effort you get out of this guy.
3 seconds, the differential between the game and shot clocks, late third quarter. The Bucks led by 12 at the half. Atlanta made a run in the third quarter. The Bucks have gotten back to 12.
Just great ball denial. It's so good. That's such an old-fashioned way to play. And Drew Holiday will be playing on Kyrie Irving. Giannis will play against Kevin Durant. I mean, in terms of one-for-one matchups, I don't even think anyone in the West, has a better one than them. It's just whether or not they can get it done in the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see. And I got one highlight from the Suns game. Mikal Bridges just one of the steals of that draft a few years ago. Insane how far he fell.
Skip pass far side. Paul slips it into the corner to Mikal Bridges. 3-ball corner pocket, yes.
First ball clap.
Just the prototypical 3-and-D player, something every team wants, and they have it now. And as they've been building the team, he's just that one extra piece that I think kind of puts them over the top. And those are some of the highlights from today's games.
Yeah, Spence, short card on Thursday night. Friday, of course, has a full card. Let's quickly go over some of the games. We won't get into too much detail, but we'll give you the card. The Pacers, I believe, they've played 3 games in 4 nights, something close to that. So on this little trip that they have here, they'll travel to Utah to take on the Jazz tomorrow night. Utah, they've got the line out, 9.5-point favorite. A battle of 2 teams that are at the bottom rung of the league. The Thunder take on the Pistons. No line posted yet there. The Clippers travel to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers tomorrow. That'll be an ESPN game tip at 4 o'clock Pacific time. Sixers on a back-to-back from tonight's not on a back-to-back. I'm sorry. They played the night before on Wednesday night against Brooklyn. So they'll be at home against the Clippers tomorrow night. Pelicans travel to Washington and take on the Wizards. New Orleans sitting as a 1.5-point road favorite. If the Wizards are healthy, I'll be looking at the Wizards a little bit there at home. Hornets travel to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Nets sitting as a 13.5-point favorite, looking to have Durant back in the lineup tomorrow. Magic stay in state as the Raptors playing their home games in Tampa. The Magic take on the Raptors tomorrow night. You mentioned it earlier, Spence. The Grizzlies travel to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Nuggets travel to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Heat are in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Trailblazers in San Antonio to take on the Spurs. And the Mavericks are at home against the Knicks. That should be an interesting game. That's a late game on ESPN tomorrow night. And there's a line out there, Mavericks -5. I may look to the Knicks again there, Spence. The Knicks are just a scrappy team, and they play really well as an underdog. So that'll be tomorrow's Friday night action on the NBA hardwood. Spence, let's transition over to the NFL. Before we do, if you miss any part of the Rest Stop Live here on twitch.tv or on my Facebook page or Twitter at Brad the Believer, make sure you check out any of the audio podcasting platforms, Spotify, Audio Boom, Google Podcasts, search Landry Football Conference called the Rest Stop. Will be underneath there. We broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 o'clock Pacific time. Spence, we talked about it at the top, less than a month away, NFL draft. I don't think I think they're actually going to have a draft this year. Last year was virtual because of COVID-19. I think we're going to have a little bit of live action now, so it's exciting. We're starting to turn the corner. We're trying to put COVID in the rearview mirror. It's not completely gone. It won't be completely gone, but we're starting to move towards what we think is a sense of normalcy in this country. The NFL draft, very exciting. People are fired up. It's going to be a good draft. Justin Fields, one of the top quarterback prospects out of Ohio State, had his second pro day today. Spence, do we have anything from the pro day today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those. He's one of the best passers in the draft, just in terms of pure accuracy. And this is a great little display. You'll be able to see. It's kind of a small sliver, but reminds me of our throw.
I was just going to say, this is the throw I was trying to make. So what do we need to do to get back out there so I can imitate this throw to a T? Play it one more time.
Yeah, we got to see our throw here.
Oh, there it is. There it is, Spence.
I see no difference.
Spence, the next goal we have to have a simulcast. We have to play the Fields throw and our throw side by side. So that you got to work on that, okay? So let's see the Fields throw again. Go. All right, Spence, this is what I'm looking to do here. One more time, Fields. Let's see.
Okay, let's see it.
All right, so the rest stop's got to get the mobility down a little quicker as Fields was a little quicker out of the pocket. But I think we could do this, Spence. I'm ready to make that throw. Let's give the rest stop combine one more look here.
Okay, let's take a look.
Oh, there it is. There it is, Spence.
Beautiful.
I mean, Spence, I wasn't impressed by a lot for me except the throw. Once the throw gets in the air, we're talking masterpiece there. Everything else in between and after I could do without, but once the ball was in the air, looked pretty solid. So I'll have to redeem myself and try to get the mobility and some of the other stuff down. But I'm ready, I would say, in the next couple of weeks, or at least before the draft, to get out there and simulate that field throw again, and then maybe we could play it side by side. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll have to judge our verticals. We'll have to time our 40 speeds. And
I'll
see
skip all that. I just want to throw.
Come on, I want the full breadth of it. We got to know where we would stand against Justin Fields. I don't think I'll be running a 4.44, unfortunately, but we'll see what I can get. We'll see what kind of numbers.
Spence, give me a guess. I mean, we ran the 40. Give me a guess on your time.
I must be like a 9 point something.
No, not that bad.
I have no idea. I've never timed my 40 before, but I can't imagine it's in the single digits. It feels like.
No, that's not true because I slowed it down in the time, and it was in single digits.
That's
Absolutely.
impressive. I'm happy with single digits. I think that's where I'll kind of have my
Spence,
bar.
now I have to ask you. You're gonna have to pull the Rich Eisen 40 time. Rich Eisen runs the 40 in his suit.
True. Are we faster than Rich Eisen? I guess that's the. If we can be faster than him, you got to feel a little better about yourself.
That's the question. So I want you to. That's the homework for next show. Okay, check out Rich Eisen in his 40 time on YouTube, and then maybe we'll take a look at ours, and then try to gauge just on the eye test who would win.
Well, I'm telling you, next time we're out there, I'm going to bring a little stopwatch of some sort, probably use my phone, and we'll see how fast we are. We'll see if we can beat the pros. Or maybe even one offensive lineman in the draft. That'd be interesting too.
That's very true. We'll have to follow that. Other than that, Justin Fields, look, I think he's been getting a raw deal during this whole process. What the hell has he done for his stock to drop as far as it has allegedly? Now that Mac Jones is apparently ahead of him in the top 5, I'm not buying this. I think Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft. I think he'll turn out to be that when we talk about this draft in the next 5 to 10 years. Of course, he doesn't have a lot of history on his side, given that the Ohio State quarterbacks that were before him have not panned out to be very good pros. I think Justin Fields is a little bit different, Spence. This guy was a top recruit out of high school. He does a little bit of everything better than the guys in the past, Braxton Miller, JT Barrett. The list goes on, Dwayne Haskins. This guy certainly has a different type of commitment level and maturity than Dwayne Haskins. I can almost guarantee you that. So I think we're going to see a little bit of difference in some of that mold broken from Ohio State quarterbacks that don't translate to the NFL.
Yeah, he just has 2 glaring weaknesses, and I think he needs to spend a year off. I don't think he should be playing in pro ball next year. He should be sitting behind somebody. He has 0 pocket awareness, or not 0. It's probably a bit of an exaggeration. He just sometimes does not see the rush coming, and he'll get sacks because of it. He goes down very easily. The other problem he has is anticipation. He doesn't really... He is one of the most accurate passers in the draft. Mac Jones probably is number 1 because he had a 77% completion percentage. But we all know this guy can make throws at all 3 levels. But he needs to anticipate throws. He needs to throw them like a half second earlier. And I don't think those are the worst problems in the world. Anticipation is very rare for a rookie to be able to get. That's what makes Trevor Lawrence so special, I suppose. So if he can learn an offense, especially the 49ers, I really do think it'd be a great place for him to go. Then he could be a special quarterback. And I think also just in general, NFL, we're learning to make offenses for college guys. Why do we need to run pro offenses? What does it even mean? For so long, I think a lot of guys' careers failed because of that. If Lamar Jackson was just forced to be put into a shotgun type of everyday offense that you see from the rest of the league, he probably wouldn't even be in the league anymore. Instead, he wins an MVP. We need to focus more on people's strengths and use that when we draft players at certain spots.
Spence, if he doesn't go 3 to the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to tell you a team that I think needs to, has to, and would be a great organizational move to move up to get Justin Fields, and that's the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears, if they move up and get Justin Fields, would rejuvenate the fan base. I think would be a great move. You could sit him for at least half the year behind Andy Dalton, see how the first half of the season goes. You've got some pieces around him on the defensive side. You have Cole Kmet, who played at Notre Dame, the tight end, Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller. I know you want to add some more guys possibly in the draft, which you have a lot of nice receivers in this draft. I think the Bears should make a move for Justin Fields if he doesn't go number 3.
If they don't depend on him to be the starter day one, that might be a good place for him to be. It's kind of tough. I mean, do the Lions, try to ruin his career as fast as possible by drafting him, or do they truly go offense? I think they're going to draft Devontae Smith. That's just personally me, but I can't imagine Jared Goff they view as their long-term solution. He can go in a myriad of places. It's his career is teetering for me because he needs to be in the right situation to succeed, and you hope he gets put in one.
Spence, let's stick it with the NFL. And briefly, I want to talk about the signing today. Jadeveon Clowney goes to the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people talking about they love this deal. I don't think it moves the needle for me, Spence. Jadeveon Clowney in the last 3 to 4 years has not been the type of impact player that a lot of people would hope for. And I know some people think situationally that playing alongside Myles Garrett, now all of a sudden he's going to come back and have 9 or 10 sacks. I'm not buying it, Spence. I think it does nothing. I don't think it's a big deal. I think his name recognition is what moves the needle in this conversation. I think from a production standpoint, nothing impresses me about Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career. And I don't think he comes in and dominates with Cleveland. Now, we had a couple highlights and nice situational plays when he was with Seattle. Last year, he did nothing with Tennessee. And I don't expect him to all of a sudden have a resurgence. Spence, I mean, what do you think? A lot of people love this move by Cleveland.
Yeah, he had 0 sacks last year in 6 games. Not a great sign. On top of that, he's never had a double-digit sack season ever in his career. So he's never really been uber productive. Of course, everything can change when you're playing opposite of one of the best defensive ends in the league. Theoretically, that helps you because there's going to be more double teams on that side. He's still effective in the run game, which is maybe why they picked him up anyways. It wasn't a lot of money. This isn't like a game-changing deal or anything like that. But, if they have the money, why not? He's one of the best, I guess, edge rushers still available on the market. I really can't think of anyone else. It's just decent.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people on Sports Talk Radio today are just clamoring for the Browns, that they're ready to make a run at a deep playoff run. Look, I'll give them credit. They overachieved last year. They beat the Steelers in the playoffs, and they hung tooth and nail with the Chiefs in their next round game. I don't think the AFC is going to regress as a whole. And look, I've got to see more from Cleveland. You've had one flash in the pan in 4 decades. Let's see the consistency. Let's put Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, the general manager, to the test. The rest of this coaching staff and lineup, we are still talking about the Cleveland Browns, Spence. So until they are able to build some consistency in that organization on a day in and day out basis, and they come ready to play, win that division. Remember, they did not win the division last year. That's goal number 1. Let's see them win the AFC North, and then possibly have a couple home playoff games and do some damage there. Until that happens, I'm not buying in. So we'll see if the Browns can win the division, number 1, and then make some moves from there. If they get into the playoffs as a wild card again, okay, let's see what they can do. But goal number 1 to make that next step is winning the division. So we'll see if the Browns have enough juice to do that in this next season. Spence, I know you wanted to hit some of the top NBA players under 25. Do we have enough time? Do you want to get into that conversation now, or should we save it for next week?
It depends. I mean, we can still talk about Lamarcus Aldridge and A-Rod if you want, but I can pull up my article right now if you want.
Let's briefly talk about Lamarcus Aldridge, Spence. He calls it a career today. Lamarcus Aldridge just signed by the Brooklyn Nets less than 2 weeks ago, calling it a career. He apparently had an irregular heartbeat that was detected, and with talking with the doctors and his family, is going to call it a career. Spence, what do you know about this story and Lamarcus Aldridge's irregular heartbeat? How was this detected? Did this come out of nowhere? I mean, this guy was looking to make an impact on this Brooklyn team come playoff time, and now they're going to have to do it without him.
Yeah, it's really sad. I don't really even know the full details, but those kinds of things, they just happen. And I mean, obviously, like everyone loves the game of basketball, but it's not worth your life, of course. And he's made a very nice living throughout his career. Sad. I actually enjoyed watching him. I have a few highlights. I guess I'll show real quick. I don't know if we show all of them, but just kind of look back and remember, like, this guy used to be actually dominant in the NBA.
Second field goal. Aldridge swings in. Oh boy! Throw it down.
And he does! Lamarcus Aldridge
With one hand, right over Beasley. What a pass and what a finish. Handle. Aldridge able to grab it. Nice.
San Antonio, the playoffs started tonight.
Those guys, McCollum and Damian Lillard, 12-11 here. Oh! Lamarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, just a game difference or a difference maker. Not as much in his old days, and you could even say like during San Antonio, maybe he wasn't utilized right. Probably wasn't the best signing for him at that point in his career, but we can always appreciate what he did with the Portland Trail Blazers. It was a special time.
Spence, this guy's multiple-time All-Star and was an impact player in Portland. Had a couple good years with San Antonio. Very solid career from Lamarcus Aldridge. This guy was a force and somebody that had to be reckoned with on the offensive side of the ball. You had to account for Lamarcus Aldridge when he was in the lineup in his prime. So it's unfortunate to see him go out this way. Hopefully everything's okay with his health, but he had a fantastic career. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know if I'd go that far, but he certainly had a fantastic, solid career, multiple-time All-Star for Lamarcus Aldridge. Spence, definitely I want to keep in the bag for next week the conversation with the top 25 under 25. I certainly think that deserves a lot more time than we have left for tonight. So let's finish it off like what we talked about. Alex Rodriguez, new partial owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. What do you think about this move? Did this kind of come out of nowhere? I didn't know A-Rod was a basketball guy. I didn't know he had interest in becoming an owner of a basketball team, but now he's in the game. And what does this mean for the Timberwolves' future, and what does this mean for A-Rod?
It's interesting. I don't know. I actually found out that him and whoever he's dating, I'm sorry, I'm so bad with celebrities, but they weren't, I didn't know they weren't married. They were just engaged. So there's actually not going to be any messy financial stuff, which I think is really nice and very smart of both of them, because who knows how much money each of them have separately. I'm sure they don't even know. But anyways, like when you break up with someone, like you're able to make moves like this financially, because otherwise your money's going everywhere. I don't know if it signals that they're moving. How big is the Minnesota Timberwolves fan base? I don't know. I'm sure, people who live in Minnesota will be upset, but if they were to go to somewhere like Seattle or even Vegas, I don't think that's a horrible move for them. They're starting to churn over. Like, I like D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Edwards, but clearly the guy has flashed quite a bit of talent on some level. And then Karl Anthony Towns is just one of the best centers, period. Maybe a fresh city and a new kind of office for them, because their new coach is awful too. And I don't know. It's just decent to me.
Spence, you mentioned Anthony Edwards. He was asked by reporters the day after the announcement of A-Rod being partial owner if Anthony Edwards was a fan of Alex Rodriguez growing up. And I think, paraphrasing Anthony Edwards, he say, who that be? Not knowledgeable about A-Rod, doesn't know about A-Rod claiming Anthony Edwards' top overall pick this past draft class by the T-Wolves. Not a baseball fan, and is not familiar with A-Rod. So you have that going for him going into the new ownership. So Alex Rodriguez in the game of basketball now. And Spence, that'll wrap up tonight's show. Another good one Thursday night. If you missed any part of the show live, make sure you check out the podcast version of the show. Landry Football Conference Call. The rest stop will be underneath there. Give a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Brad the Believer. And, of course, support us on www.twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football for the shows live every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 to 10 o'clock Pacific time. For Spencer the Wiz, I'm Brad the Believer. We'll see you back here live, 9 o'clock Pacific time on Tuesday. Have a great weekend and have a